All right. How we doing, guys? Sam here with you on Friday the 17th. And if it's Friday, well, certainly a good time to be looking at Bitcoin. Now, this is an 8-hour chart up here on Bitstamp where we've had, obviously we all know we've had some volatility last night. So I think we are getting some clarification here, potentially, right? It's just potential, but there's some interesting observations in here that could be useful to us in terms of how we're going to trade this. Let's just do a quick review, just real quick here. So this is to remind people that the reason we've been leaning so heavily into this as our pivot low, as potentially a good low, is off of this straight algo play, right? So I've shown it 100 times, right? So 3,200 was the target there. I'm just going to use a round number here. So we know looking at interesting look. So we know looking at this. That of course these here would be technical pivots, right? So that's where the algorithm kicked in, started selling, and takes profit down here. So if you look at that, it would certainly make sense in that series to consider, well, if that's technical, let's just continue on and see how we look. Well, now, one thing to note here, as I do that, look what we do. So we bump right into the 38, but I want to pull from this pivot here. I know that was technical. I know software used it. So if I pull that in there, now look what we get. Right to the golden zone, right? As members know, we posted that several times that we were pulling from each of the pivots along the way. Eventually, one of these was likely to kick in. So here we finally get it. And for bulls, the good news is it was one of the further back because we started here, then one here, then one here, then one here. Right? So you keep pulling until you've used them all, and then you break any algo that would be selling here on this larger degree. So if we break this one, then we're going to go here. All right, now we're at the 38. We break that one. This is the last one. That would put us at the all the way. So here would be the all the way halfway back. But take a look at this. It's kind of interesting. So all I'm doing here is I'm just wicking off. I'm going to pull that off here just as I've made that point that was our pivot to get us this algo target down here. So I'm just looking at potentially the next areas of support. So here's a pivot. This was obviously an important pivot as we just bumped into this. Now, is it this pivot here, or is it the fact that we just came up to the golden zone? And how are we going to know? No way to know. But note this here. Look what's happening here. Look at the spacing of this range here compared to the spacing of the range. But here's an easier way to look at it. I'm going to use the wolf tool. So whenever I see range precision like this, I'm immediately thinking, oh, let's get out the wolf range. And so let me put this on here and show this to you. So first we had this coming down. So let me just change the template here. Oh, where did I put it? Right here. Okay, so you'll note here if I get that right on that pivot there. Okay, so here's the range established right here. Here's 100% of that, in effect doubling that range, right? So looking at that, you can see, okay, well, we've got a range established here. We've got a lower range established here, but look above. It's exactly the same distance. So if I take that tool and I think, okay, well, let's check this going back the other way. So now I take the same idea here that I'm looking for range expansion. All right, so here, and now let me zoom in on this a little bit so you can see it better. All right, let's pop this up here. So here's what I want. Okay, so here's the initial. So from Elliott speak, we'd be looking at this. This would be our one wave here. Well, here's that lower range that gets established. Here's the doubling of that range. So thus you see a minus 100. That's just in effect doubling it. Here's doubling again. We rip right through that. We ultimately get all the way up here. We're pushing for that 400% of the range. Now we don't quite get there. We don't quite get there on this particular move, but look how good we are here in terms of just the range expansion. So 100% perfect. 300. We get the proposed. I'm going to suggest to you we've got our wave 3 here at the minus 300 here, and then we still have an upper target here. Maybe that we don't get there. Maybe we don't. But I look at this and I see these ranges being established, and particularly if you pull back out, you can see how we are clearly getting range expansion. So we have this lower range, then that is doubled into this secondary range where we were it looked like that was where I think bears had the stronger case here, that we were going to come down here and finish, that this was a retracement relative to this swing. Right now, of course, we can't eliminate the possibility that we're going to go down and challenge these lows, but it's looking less and less likely, and this low looking stronger and stronger. Right? It's not definitive, but it certainly is looking encouraging that we have a good low here. And at this point, it does look like we've completed an impulse coming off of that, given the depth of this move. Now, we don't, oh shit, just go across crypto's Twitter, you'll find 200 reasons for it. Some very legit. One that I thought was pretty interesting. Oh, shit, now I got to find it. Oh, fuck. Oh, I saw it here. So this I thought was interesting. So here's Bitcoin futures on the CME. Note here, so this was the big gap that we had left open at the start of this bull move here. So we've come down now and officially closed that gap. Right, so very, very common. Markets do not like leave gaps. They don't like to leave open gaps. So on this sell-off, regardless of what the trigger event was, right, it really doesn't matter, but it's just interesting to note here. So we come back to where all this base of support was. Right, so we come right back to it. And of course, that tracks all the way over here. Right, so we know why that was there. Interesting where we come, we close the gap, and then look at this reaction that we're getting off of that. So again, as to what causes it, why it's there, stops are getting hit all the way down, but it is interesting to note where it stops. So let's go back here and look at our larger degree count, see if we can make sense of it. So given that we just bumped into a golden zone, the sell-off here is, again, right, is it running into this pivot? Is the structure? Is that we've doubled the range? Is it that we hit the golden zone? Is it that some whale algorithm kicked off and sparked a bunch of selling? People that were weak longs, you get just crushed, right? They're over leveraged, they get ripped out of it, and then you see the thing that's bounced back 50% of what it did. I think let's go down to the lower count. Let me get to a 3 hour here. I'm kind of bouncing around because there's so much technical meat in here. There's just a lot going on here. It's just to watch how technically this is trading. So I'm going to stay with these ranges here. Now I do think at this point that we can. All right, so we're never absolute about it, but I think it's reasonable, more probable, let me say it that way, that we have completed an impulse here. That this ends up being our 3, we get the shallow 4, but then given that I can get a full impulse up here and that we bumped into a golden zone, I think it's more probable that we have a completed impulse now at this level. So that being the case, where would that put us? Well, if indeed this is correctly identified as our impulse off of the low, well, that would imply that all we've done is put in a one wave. So if we try to put the whole thing together, say, well, there's a 1. Obviously, there's going to be some potential, just that potential support down here. Oh, we'll go up to intermediate so we can. Oh shit! What do I want to do here? Let's put this in. For some reason, this moved over here. I did something. Anyway, okay, here we go. So there's a 1. All right, now common areas, right? What are we looking for? This is just standard opposite. It doesn't matter what the asset. I could say it 1,000 times. It's the same thing every time. That's the value of it. So now I've got the wolf range here. So let me switch back. All right, so if this is a completed impulse, let me tighten that up here. Okay, where are we looking for the 2? Well, obviously, right? So we're looking for the 2 between the 50 and the 618, right? This is our prime zone for that 2. All right, so let's think about what we're looking for here. So coming down, right, this looks like certainly a contender for our A wave to be going in. The retrace off of the A likely sets up the B. This is the big dog right here that we're looking for to try and get into the 3 off of this low. Complete the impulse, give me the 2. Now, do we get there? Well, of course we can't. There's no way to know for sure. But if you're waiting and you've been waiting, right? So maybe you're like, I'm not so sure. Still could be. There's very mixed opinions about this as to whether or not we have a hard low here, or whether or not bears are ultimately going to see, these lows getting challenged, and we're going down to, well, let's just put it below 3,200. I do not think that's likely. Right, so I'm not trading it that way, so I'm not advising anyone to trade it that way. You can certainly put together a count that would imply that. but I think it's much less likely. So until proven otherwise, I stay in the bear camp. Well, fuck, I've been in the bear camp for a long time. So I continue to think that we have an impulsive one wave here and that we are now in the process of correcting that. Right? Until I see evidence to contradict that, I stick with the bullish count. Now, right, so that doesn't mean I'm just going to buy here, aggressively and not put a stop on it because we're never going to touch this low. Here, I'm not that confident, or nor am I that stupid as a trader. But that's what I think is happening here. So you got to pick something, right? So you're either a bull or a bear. You can't straddle the fence. Well, fuck, I suppose if you're down trading on a 2-minute chart, you can be bull bear 12 times throughout the course of the day. But if we're talking about the larger degree, where are we likely going next? I think the bear back is broken. My view, one man's opinion, right? I think your back is broken here, and to continue to fight this on the short side, I think is a dangerous way to approach this kind of volatility and this kind of price action. Now, bears saw that sell-off last night, and I told you so. Great, right? I mean, you gotta have an opinion, right? So, I mean, if everybody was sure of one outcome or the other, right, there'd be no trading. So, obviously, a few bulls disagree. So, as we look at where we are here, where we've come, knowing that this is what's one thing that's interesting here. So, if I pull this off, just this prior 3-4 common retracement range, if we're going to come down. So, note how that 50 lines up with this range that we establish here. And you can see that over here, right? So this was the little base we built before we launched. Now we're going to come down and retest it. Well, it would fit in rather nicely with the traditional, typical retracement ranges that we'd be anticipating. Here's our 50, so it lines up rather conveniently with that. Now again, I'm wicking off a few pivots here that were prior support or resistance. That's potentially something that could keep it from getting to the 50. You could see a little front run here. But right now, my anticipation is that this is just standard Elliott retracement. We're looking for 3 down. Give me a clean 3. I say this often. If you're in crypto, this is how I like to say it. Why would you not take that trade? Why would you? Sure, you have absolute conviction that we're going down and that this is that the top is in here. This was some sort of extreme shit. What are you going to call that? Where maybe it's the A wave of a larger correction. So maybe you're thinking as a bear, I got an A. I'm coming down for the B. I'm going up for the C. But ultimately, guys, think about that. Where's that going to put Bitcoin? If this is an A, B, C, let's put that in context, right? So I don't want to ignore the bears, but really. That's what you think is the higher probability here, that we're just doing an A, we're coming down to a B, then we're going up to a C, and then we're going down? Given what we know about the evolution of the crypto space, how we look in 2019 compared to 2017, man, I don't understand that thinking. You have... Shit, man, I will take the other side of your trade all day long. I just say it that way. I think you couldn't be any more wrong. Now, I'd be the first to admit if this crashes down here, bears are right, I'll be the first one to admit that I was wildly wrong, right? But I'm going to be trading on the long side until proven otherwise, right? So feel free to get on the other side of it. But I think that's a fool's errand. I think to not, so let's say you take it. Okay, so let's just think about it. All right, so you say, all right, well, this fucking guy seems like he has got something. At least there's something here in this Elliott shit and this algo stuff. For whatever reason, you're like, all right, I'm gonna give this guy a shot. Okay, so let's say you get stopped out. Okay, so you lost some money. Well, that fucking guy doesn't know. He doesn't know shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. God, I get comments like that on a daily basis. Always makes me laugh a little bit. If you don't like it, why are you watching? All right, so there we go. All right, so you get stopped out. Okay, so let's say it goes deeper than this, and we come down. We're going to break the golden zone. We're going to go to the 786. Then it goes. Again, right? So, I mean, we know a 2 could go that low. So now, at this point, bears are like celebrating. I told you it was going down. Told you. Look at my Twitter feed. Look here, I was short. Look how much money I made. And then it goes. you know, I think that's just insane. Why are you in crypto? Are you hoping that it fails? Right? Are you just here to beat it down? Or so, you know, I get a lot of comments like this. Well, of course I want it to fail. I want it to go down so I could buy it at 800 again because I missed it last time it was there. Is that what it is? I don't think that's, you know, if you're in crypto, we want to see it thrive, not fail. Oh shit! I mean, I'm getting very sidetracked here by just the reality of analyzing the count. It really it confuses me as to why anybody would be rooting for this to fail. I get if you took a short, you made some money, good for you. Right? You know, you got to manage every trade individually on its own merit. So if you took a short off of that, and there was shit, right? I just drew it up, right? We had a high probability. We were running into some stiff resistance here, right? I mean, there it is. That's textbook algo, right? We know we know what happened there. I don't have to wonder. We know software kicks in there, and it's going to stay short until either stopped out or it gets that target. What's that target? 1100. All right, so are you trading that algo? You want to see it down at 1100. When it gets to 1100, that's when you're really going to load the boat. That's when I'm really going to get aggressive. I guess that's what you're thinking, right? So remember, software, there's nobody thinking. There's nobody going, I feel pretty good about that, right? It's just going to stay there until it gets stopped, right? And if it gets stopped, then what's next, guys, right? Then we go to this one. Right, it just keeps going. And then we go finally. We don't break that sell side algo until we get what's here. Let's call it 14,000. Then we have no resistance. No, then it's just off to the races, right? So I just think this would be just a tremendous missed opportunity. If you're in here, if you're watching whether you're a member or you're watching on YouTube, to let that trade set up and not take it. That would haunt me. That would haunt me for the rest of my life. It really would. To let that set up and not take that trade. Now, don't take it because I'm telling you to take it. If you can put together a risk reward here that's profile that's consistent with your account size, your tolerance, don't over lever it. You don't even need to lever it. To let that slip through your fingers, well, then I suppose, and then you're going to go, okay, well, so I guess, it was the ABC. So I'm certainly not going to take the 4 into the 5 because I'm absolutely certain now that all we had was an ABC, and this was the A, here's the B, now we're going up for the C, and now we go, is that possible? Of course, yeah, that's possible. Here's 0. Right, we can't even if the algorithm is going to kick in to sell here with it, they've got a target down here of -1,000. That would eat me alive if I didn't take that trade. I fucking couldn't care less if I got stopped out. If I get stopped out, I will be looking for the next buy until this thing comes down here and it takes out that low. Until we take that low, I stay on the buy side. I would take it at the 887, right? And then I could be very definitive about it. But to let that come and not take it, I wouldn't sleep for a month. All right, shit, boy, I really got sidetracked here. So I'm 18 minutes in. Is there much more? I don't know that there's much more that I can add here. I mean, the count's it's pretty basic. So we've got something that likely has completed here. If not, what's the alternate? Is there a bullish alternate? Well, the 1 could be still going in. Maybe we've got just an extreme extension here. Is this the 4? I think that now that we have more data here and we see the depth of this retracement and I can complete the impulse here, is it possible? Yeah, fuck, of course it's possible. But does it look as likely? Doesn't look as likely to me. I think we're retracing the completed impulse. And right down here, so where's the buy zone here? From, let's call it 57.85 to 51.50. You got a sweet buy zone coming here. Now, is it time to be a buyer here? Well, no, certainly not, right? If it's going to play Elliott ball with us, right, which no reason to assume it won't, right? So far, all the subdivision there, why are we assuming anything else? Well, we need to complete an A wave here. Do we have a complete, even if I go 30-minute? Can you really call that? You know, what do you got there? How are you going to break that down? I'm at 30 minutes. You can't do anything with it. So what we want, maybe you got some, I didn't want this one, excuse me. Maybe we got some sort of a diagonal here into a 2, 3. That's a hell of a 4, but you'd want something. Chris, that degree is silly. All right, so we want something to complete down here to give us a solid A wave. Something, right? This is already problematic because of just how abruptly it's rejected. So down we go. You know, were you sitting there ready to buy that, right? We know that that's software that's kicking in to buy that. So up we come for the 4. Now, can we come down here and complete this? Is that the time to buy? What if it completes at the 50? Well, that's a question mark every individual trader has to make. Is it enough, right? So are we done here? Well, we're at the 50, so we know an algorithm's likely to kick in there on the buy side. Are we done? Well, I mean, certainly if we get a reaction there, it sets up for the potential B wave, but I wouldn't be assuming that we were off to new highs here. I'd be assuming that we're going to come down. Maybe we're going as low as golden zone. Maybe we're double bottom here. We don't know. We don't know what it looks like. But oh man, I just think it would be just a tremendous missed opportunity to not eat. Shit, you don't have to put the kids' tuition money into it, but at least nibble on the long side down here. If you get the reaction, I say this 100 times. Take the first retrace, then you can add a little bit. Now you're adding with some profit with a little house money. You know where you're wrong. Try and get into that. And then you did. I wasn't sure. I wasn't confident. Well, then get into that. Well, I wasn't sure, so I'm gonna wait till the next retracement. Okay, right, the pattern just repeats. All right, up we go. Now, is he going to do that exactly? Of course not, right? This is all just, you got to put together some sort of a map here, guys. Right? Pick a spot. If you're a bear, okay, so your assumption is here that we're starting in the 1. Okay, well, you still, if you're looking for a new trade, you want to be a buyer into the 2. If you think this is going to go down in 5, we still have a buy here at the 50. Right? If we get to the 50, we may not get there. But if we do, there's the buy side. Okay, then you want to put your money where your mouth is. Okay, take that short. Take that short. But if we get down here, really, your assumption is that we're going to do this? I'm giving you a lot of, much more, what is wrong with me? I don't know why I'm so opinionated today, but for whatever reason I am. So take it for what it's worth, right? It's just one man's opinion. Right? I think this would be just a tremendous missed opportunity if we get there, right? So first, let's get there. First, let's get a better handle on what we have here. Then, look long and hard at it, guys. Long and hard. All right, guys. I rambled way too long. All right, back to you later.